This is the Football Podcast with your hosts, Tyler, Andy, and Boyer.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football Podcast, presented by all three Performance Enhancing Dads. What's happening, fellas?
Not a lot. This interview with the champ looks like it's going to be a bit of a dud, though.
Yeah, he was ready last week. We were sick. He's with the in-laws this week. Apparently couldn't get out of that to come hang out with us. We'll see what next week looks like.
Yep. Keep rolling the dice. I guess we'll let it slide since we were the weak link last week.
Yeah, yep.
But congrats to Robbie. I think this is our first time that we can say that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome to the multi-championship club with Andy.
Yep.
I'll be
Getting
joining
lonely.
you guys shortly.
I've been in this club since 2013.
Hey, give me 2 years.
I don't think that's going to happen, Boyer.
I didn't say which 2 years. I said give me 2 years, so that's technically right.
That is fair. You're right. You're not wrong.
All right. Ty, you want to tell them what's on the docket in lieu of an interview with the champ this week?
In lieu of an interview with the champ, Boyer lost our bet that we made early in the season on Kenneth Gainwell. I said Kenneth Gainwell was going to have 100 carries, so Boyer lost that one because Gainwell or 100 touches, and Gainwell ended with 101 touches. So Boyer sucks. Sorry about your luck, Boyer. We'll see you in a nice little tiara or something fun next week or one of these next common weeks. So I do appreciate that. But outside of that, since Robbie's not here, Andy is so nicely put it up on his board.
Yeah, I'm keeping score for you guys.
Me versus Boyer. We are going to have a little trivia because that's what Andy likes to do. So play along with us. See if you can beat me and Boyer. Probably shouldn't be hard because we suck at fantasy just as much as we suck at trivia.
The standings show it.
This is
And
true.
I can't even pick the games right. I can't imagine I can pick trivia out.
Yeah, so last time we did this, it was June, and Ty had been pulling a bunch of stats forward for some like long-term analysis and had just got done doing the season prior. So he was pretty hot
Yeah, he's smoking it, I think.
on the trivia, but I think this year will be a little bit more even footing. I tried to pull it together quickly and didn't give the guys any notice. So we'll see how it goes, but I've got another 40 questions. I've got 10 quarterback, 10 running back, 10 receiver, and then 10 that are tight end, kicker, defense altogether. Some of these have more than one answer. Some of these I'll give out negative points if you guess wrong. I'm making up the rules as I go, so we're gonna wing it. You guys ready?
Points are made up, and it doesn't matter anyway. So let's go.
You get it. All right. Question one. Quarterback question one. Who had the highest completion percent?
I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins.
It's a solid guess. He's done it before.
He did have a high completion percentage, but I do not believe that's it. I don't know if I even have a good guess for this. Shit. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow is the correct answer.
Nice.
Joe
Good
Burrow had a 70.4% completion rate. Kyler Murray was second at 69.2. Aaron Rodgers was third. Kirk Cousins was 16th, down at 66.3. It was not his best year, so we'll go ahead and give Ty a point there.
Aaron Rodgers was going to be my other guess. Those were the two I was between.
That's fair. Rodgers was third, so Ty's on top of it. Boyer, this is why you almost got last.
Hence why I almost got last as well, but it's fine.
All right. Boyer, maybe we'll give you a little easier one. All right.
Oh, thanks.
First running back question. Which running back led the league in touches?
I mean, I feel like it's Jonathan Taylor. So I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor because that seems obvious.
Ty?
I mean, I'd have to agree with him. It's either.
Man.
I'm actually all right, I'm gonna agree with him, but Najee Harris is the one I'm debating between because he had a shit ton of carries too.
It was Najee Harris.
Oh.
Najee had 381 touches. Taylor had 372.
I only have Najee on a dynasty league. I should only know that a little bit.
Najee was incredibly inefficient, having a 3.9 yards per carry. He had 307 attempts and only 1,200 rush yards. So not good, but we all knew that the Steelers O-line was bad. Maybe it'll be better next year.
Where was Mixon in that, or is that another trivia question coming up? Because he was the other one that I was kind of between two because I know
in
that
total touches, not as high.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like not within 20 of any of those guys. So
Okay.
Where's Eckler in that?
okay, let me pull some numbers here. So
I
Najee
thought
had
it was injured for a
381.
handful of games, though.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're right. Eckler missed a couple.
Yeah.
He missed a game. He had a
Mixon
couple
missed a
games he
game.
got injured. Okay.
Mixon missed a game and had 334, so he was almost 50 behind. And then Eckler. Eckler also missed a game. Eckler only had 276. He only had 206 carries, which held him back.
Because I know that this was like the most carries he's ever had in a season.
Yeah.
Right.
But his
And
pass
he was
game
mostly healthy all season, which
Makes a difference.
Chargers like to go through Eckler.
All right. Well, speaking of the Chargers, your first wide receiver question is, what was the point differential between Mike Williams and Keenan Allen? So format wise, I would like for you to take Mike Williams' points and subtract Keenan Allen's points. So it could be a positive number if Mike Williams has more. It could be a negative number if you think Keenan Allen has more. You follow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give this point to whoever's closer.
All right, so I'm subtracting Keenan Allen's points from Mike Williams.
Correct. So if you think Mike Williams had more points, then the answer would be a positive number.
Okay. Plus 16 and a half.
Boyer?
I was gonna go plus 12.
It was
God damn it.
18.8. Mike Williams finished wide receiver 10 with 170 points. Oh, he did. He was so good the first 5 weeks, and he had like 2 other good weeks.
Keenan Allen was not great most of the year.
Yep.
I mean, he wasn't bad by any means, but he was not great.
Yeah, he had the volume, but not the touchdowns, which is pretty standard fare for him, I think. So
mostly because I traded Mike Williams away in another league, so I watched him destroy me the first couple weeks. It's fine.
Naturally. All right. This one will be hopefully at least some easy points. Looking for 3 answers. Who are the top 3 scorers at tight end in total points? If you get any wrong, I'm taking a point away.
All right, so I know Mark Andrews was tops.
Yeah. Andrews, Kelsey are top 1 and 2.
So who's 3?
And if you want to be a little bitch about it, you can just throw in the towel and take your 2 points. But
no, I have a name in mind, but I'm worried that it's going to be wrong. But I know where he was at because I just picked him up in Dynasty, because of where he was at. He was really close, and he had a strong last couple weeks. But Dalton Schultz seems like a stretch for number 3. I feel like he was like 4 or 5, like still good, but not quite that good.
Right. He was on my mind.
So
I
who
mean,
else could it be? It could be Kittle.
Kittle's on my mind, but he was injured for a little while.
Was he? I was going to ask you that. I didn't know how long he was injured for, because he would be my other option. Everybody else seemed injured or just not as good.
I think Kittle hit the IR early, or at least he was out for 2 or 3 games early in the year. And then
Okay.
Gronk was hot early. Dawson Knox was early.
He was out for a while.
Right.
Waller was out for a while and was ineffective half the time.
So I mean, really, at this point, it'd probably be between Schultz, because Kittle was out a handful of games.
I'm gonna go with Schultz because he was at 4 when I picked him up in Dynasty, and
He had a hot finish.
I'm feeling Schultz. He was his price. I got him for a 3rd in Dynasty. I was very happy about that.
I mean, I'll be a little bitch and sit it too, but I would probably still put Kittle there, but I'm not. I don't think that it was because he missed games.
Good work, ladies.
All right. Well, we had to talk that one out together, but that's fine.
I appreciate you guys working together to beat me. It is Dalton Schultz. Point gap, Mark Andrews had 194, Travis Kelce had 171, Dalton Schultz had 131. Schultz and Andrews both played all 17 games. Kelce missed 1. Kittle was 4th with 127, so a hair under 4 points behind Dalton Schultz, and he played 14 games, which is more than I would have guessed. He only missed 3.
I knew he missed 3 early in the season, but I couldn't remember if it was more.
Yeah, and then in 5th in tight end scoring was Gronk, who only played 12 games. And then 6th was Dawson Knox, who missed 2 games. So the 3 guys after Schultz, I think, all finished ahead of him in like a per game average. But you got to be on the field. He ended up 3rd. So
I knew he was 4th when I got him, and then the Cowboys put up 50 burgers on 2 of the last 3 weeks. And I know Schultz had a couple touchdowns in at least one of those. So that's kind of what I was banking on, is that he had increased from that just based off of those last few games.
Right.
Fair enough. All right, moving on. How many picks did Aaron Rodgers throw this year? He played 16 games. He did not start that last game, I think, maybe. Or maybe, oh no, he had a COVID game, I think. I don't know. He played 16 games. Boy, your screen's flashing.
I'm going to say 6. He doesn't tend to throw a lot of picks.
He threw 4 picks in 531 attempts.
I just had this conversation with Batman, who's a major Packer fan.
Yeah, that's good even by Rodgers standards.
Yeah.
So good for that guy. I don't like him, but holy shit. All right. Who led the running back position in receptions? And then I have a very short story afterwards about why this question makes me sad.
Well, shit. We just talked about running backs.
I tell you what, if you guess the answer that I want you to guess, even though it's wrong, I'll give you a bonus point.
Earl Patterson.
That's not the answer that I want you to guess.
My actual guess is Eckler, but I don't know if he did it or not. I'm just gonna guess him because I know that he was.
Where's going with Eckler?
Well,
so I'll go with Eckler as my main.
We just talked about how Najee had so many touches, and he only had 300? What'd you say? 300, just over 300 carries, but he led. I don't know where Eckler was at in receiving though, but his touches were not near as high. I know Najee got a lot of stupid dump passes though.
Najee had that one game where he had like 18 catches.
Right. Because DeAndre Swift gets a lot too, but he was out for a lot of the season.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with Najee just for the sake of he had so many touches this year.
All right. Point to Ty.
Was I right?
You were right. Neither of you got the answer that I wanted. So
That was impressive, Ty.
I started pulling these questions before the end of the season, right?
Sure.
And at the time, a week or two ago, when I pulled these questions over, this was not the order of things because Najee had 74 catches. Eckler finished with 70, so Boyer good work getting the second. But the answer that I wanted you to guess is Leonard Fournette had 69 catches, and he didn't play the last 3 games.
I did not realize he had that many catches.
I did not either. He was well ahead of these other guys when I looked at this a couple weeks ago, and then they both passed him up in the last couple of weeks. So
I feel like James Conner probably also had a surprising number of receptions for the type of player he is, but I don't know how many receptions he got.
He was a mostly a carry guy.
He had more than you would. He had 37.
And that's more than I would ever really expect James Conner to have. And it helps that Edmonds was out and that they had to use him. But the few Cardinals games I watched, he was surprised. He was targeted well more than I thought he would ever be.
Tom Brady does like to dump off, though. I mean,
that's true. Brady loves that James White type of dump off and let the running back make a move and get yards.
I've been looking into some dynasty stuff already, right? Because that's the season that we're getting to. And a lot of things that I've been looking at are mocking a running back to Tampa Bay because of their hands and the dump off ability. So, I mean, Leonard Fournette doesn't surprise me because Ronald Jones was hot garbage this year. They didn't let Keyshawn Vaughn ever get involved, and Gio Bernard was worthless.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me because Brady does like that dump off, but it does surprise me because Leonard Fournette.
I mean, Fournette is not. Yeah, Fournette's not the name I would expect to be up at the top 3.
But a Tom Brady dump off person is.
Yeah, if he got like 45 and it was because of Brady, I'd be like, oh, well, okay, not surprised. That's okay. 69's high
in 14 games. That's almost 5 a game. Yeah, right. All right. Well, to the flip side of things, instead of how many receptions did the running back have, how many rush attempts did Debo have? Whoever's closer gets the point.
Oh man, Ty's gonna get this one for sure.
Yeah, it is a slant towards Ty, the Niners fan.
Yeah, but I don't know how many because not all the rush attempts were worth a whole lot, and he got a lot more at the end of the season than he did at the beginning.
I think his last game he got like 6 or 7.
I'll give you a hint. First in the wide receiver category with carries was Cordero Patterson had 153, which is more than I thought that he had. That's a lot. And third in the wide receiver category for carries was Rondale Moore with 18. So you're looking for somewhere between 153 and 18.
Thanks for narrowing it down.
Second. Yeah.
Thanks for narrowing it down.
Got
I'll
you.
make sure to go at least 19.
There you go. That's all I'm asking.
That's a tough question. How many did he have? I mean, probably. I mean, he's nowhere near Cordero, but he's probably in the. I'm gonna say 52 range.
Yeah, I was gonna go just slightly higher, like thinking like almost like 3 a game. Yeah, 50. I'm just gonna go with an even 60.
59.
Woohoo!
I need to start guessing after Boyer. If he goes to even 60, I go to 59.
Hey, at least he's not like Jeopardy or Price is Writing you with just going by one higher.
No, I know.
But yeah, he had 59 for 365 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that sustainable next year, do you think?
No, it's not. They had so many running back issues with the, Mitchell being healthy and Sermon not seeing the field and Mostert going down. Like you can't bank on half of that for next year.
I would imagine the 49ers are.
Yeah, Wilson was down. Yeah,
Jeff Wilson was down. Hasty went down. Mitchell was down. Mostert was down. They really had nobody.
Yeah.
They brought in like Ito Smith at the end of the year off of waivers just to have a body.
Yeah, it was bad.
You can't. Deebo Samuel was really the only option you had there. So
I'm pretty sure in next year's draft, 49ers are drafting all running backs, just 7 straight running backs across the board.
It worked for them this year. They picked up 2.
you got Kittle and Ayuk and Deebo. You're fine out there. You bring in another 6 running backs. Eventually, you got at least a handful of guys healthy.
Yeah.
So either that or they'll know to fire their training staff.
Maybe redo their field. I don't know.
All right, moving on. Where did Kyle Pitts rank in receiving yards among tight ends?
In receiving yards.
Just yards.
Because points, I think he ended up total somewhere in the 8 or 9 range. But yards
He was
specific.
I'm gonna go with third.
I hate you because I was thinking 4th, and now I feel bad going one over you because I let you.
No, that's
answer.
fine. Go for it. That's fine.
All right, I'll go 4th.
He was third.
Ah,
Whew.
We got a tie ball game.
I knew
yeah.
so he broke 1,000 yards, right?
He did. He
That's what I
had
saw.
1026, but he only had 1 touchdown. So he was 9th in points, which Ty correctly called out. So good work there.
Nice work, Ty.
All right, back to
I
quarterbacks.
thought it was some stats.
How many rush yards did Mahomes have?
Ooh,
The rush yards did Mahomes have.
I feel like it was low.
I feel like everything Mahomes did this year was low.
Yeah, but I feel like it's like kind of crazy low for him. I didn't see him run almost ever in any highlights, any games that I watched.
I mean, he's still a running quarterback, though. There were plenty of games that he ran, but it's this is such a wide open question.
I'm gonna throw out like 210.
No, I was definitely higher than that. I'll go 3 even. 300 even. Sorry. I don't want to be quoted for 3 yards. He's not Tom Brady.
Prior to this year, Mahomes' best record or best rushing season was a 308 in yards. This year, he put up a 381.
Whoa, way better than I thought then.
Yep, career highs in attempts and yards.
He was flushed out of the pocket a lot was the problem.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know what his attempts throwing were versus other years, but it was. I mean, they
were also having trouble running the ball. Period. So it would make sense, I guess, that they wanted to lean on him instead of CEH and Darrell Williams and whatever hodgepodge of running backs they had.
He also had 70 more pass attempts than he did last year.
Whoa.
did it.
Yep,
All
one
right.
one fewer touchdowns, 7 more interceptions. So there's some of your difference there for why he was worse.
Yeah.
All right, who was second in rush yards?
Total.
Total rush yards, just rush, not receiving. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor was first because he had like 1,800. But who was second?
Mixon.
I'm stuck between Mixon and another guy. I'm gonna go the other way just because you pick Mixon.
Fair.
Who you got, Ty?
Nick Chubb.
All right, so Mixon was third. So I'm going to give a point. Chubb only played 14 games, Ty, but you are correct.
Yeah,
Oh,
but Dalvin Cook was the only other one that popped into my head other than Najee, but I can't imagine you were making Najee the answer to 3 straight.
I could have swore you were going to pick Najee just because he seems to be.
So Chubb only played 14 games. He had 1259 on the ground. Mixon played 16 games. He had 1205. Najee played the full 17, had 1200. Dalvin Cook played 13 games and had 1159. So
And
Dalvin was
Cook
100 behind Chubb.
And Dalvin being hurt and on and off for so long, I was stuck between him and Chubb because I knew Chubb was also out.
Right. So in terms of attempts, Nick Chubb had 228 attempts. Najee Harris had 307, and Chubb had 59 more yards on, I can't math quickly, 79 fewer attempts.
Yeah.
Can't math quickly. I've never heard you say that before.
So yeah, that's a Chubb, full Chubb over here, guys.
You know that I'm feeling like the Browns should have given him the ball like a lot.
Thank
more.
you. How many Jarvis Landry goal line touches were there this year? Chubb only had, I think, 8 touchdowns. He got vultured more than I expected him to.
I would like to see a splits like first half when the Browns were good compared to second half when the Browns were bad.
They're probably pretty even, but all right. Jamar Chase finished 3rd in wide receiver points. How many catches did he have? Whoever's closest gets this one. So if you want to coordinate your guesses to say on 3 or something, so that there's no like animosity, I feel like you've been doing a very nice job of taking turns.
I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna take a stab at one.
And have the
I'll
ones.
say
Go ahead.
110.
110.
I'm gonna go with 87.
All right. You're both high.
Okay.
Is 81.
Oh,
I was
wow.
gonna go
He had
79.
He had
go
fewer
79, but
catches
you went to
than
100.
names like Jacoby Myers and Cole Beasley.
Weird.
Well, because even a couple other guys that had
Those just those deep
a
bombs
thousand-
that he was
even
crushing
a
it
couple-
on.
a couple other guys that had around 1,000 yards or over only had like 70 some catches too, didn't they?
70 is pretty low.
Well, but I was looking at something earlier and there was somebody.
Debo was pretty high up there too. Lockett and like Mike Williams were all in the 70s for catches, but I mean, you're down in fewer yards there, so.
Okay. I think, sorry, I'm currently browsing just to look at,
Sure.
at the catches.
Because I mean,
numbers.
Jamar Chase was 4th in yards behind guys who caught 145, 108, and 123 balls, and he only caught 81.
Right. But so if you look, I'm just because I pulled it up, CeeDee Lamb at 79 and 1,100 yards.
Right.
Terry McLaurin at 77 and 1,000. Debo had 77 and 14. Darnell Mooney had 81 and just 1,000.
Right, but Chase had 81 and 1455.
Right, but I was
That's
thinking,
crazy different.
Right, but I was looking at I had heard something and I was looking at some of those random numbers of like the guys that had low catch totals still breaking that 1,000 mark.
Sure. All right, moving on because we're only on our 3rd row out of 10. After Andrews and Kelsey, there were 2 tight ends that were next in targets, both with 112. Name either one of them. Just need one.
Kyle Pitts.
Now I feel like I have to pick somebody else.
If
don't have
want
to.
him, I'll let you have him.
Who else? And Kyle Pitts was the first name that came to my mind just for the number of yards he had. So I'll go with Pitts as well.
Pitts had 110.
Okay. I was gonna say I'll switch, but it's fine. If you're
You
gonna
both,
give it,
you both can have Pitts because that is who you both wanted. You don't have to switch just to be different. So
Gesicki was gonna be my other one just because I know that he was.
Gesicki had 112 and Zach Ertz had 112.
Whoa.
I was surprised by that, especially switching
wouldn't-
teams in the middle of the year.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put Ertz up there. He was hot early in the season, but the last half you didn't hear anything from him.
Yeah, I mean, they both only finished in the 700s for the yards. So not terribly exciting out of either of them, but still 112 targets. Can't argue with that.
Right.
All right, no points. Back to quarterbacks. How many?
We're both good. All right, that's fine.
You're both equally good, and you were both equally wrong. All right. Jalen Hurts had 784 rushing yards. Lamar Jackson had 767 rushing yards. So they were 17 yards apart. How many more rushing touchdowns did Hurts have than Jackson?
How many more?
Hurts had more. I'm giving you that, unlike the
Right,
Mike Williams
cool.
question.
For sure.
Everybody knew that. But how many more touchdowns did Jalen Hurts have than Lamar Jackson?
Lamar didn't play for like last quarter of the year.
That was Lamar missed, I think, 3 games, but that was part of why I gave you the rushing yards to at least kind of put them on even footing.
I'm gonna say 7. Hurts had a lot of rushing touchdowns.
So if it changes your answer, Hurts played in 15 games, Lamar Jackson played in 12. But their rushing attempts and yards were within single digits of each other, pretty much. 139 attempts for Hurts, 133 for Jackson.
Yeah, but the Eagles had no running game. I mean, we kind of talked about that earlier. Sanders was bad, and Gainwell didn't do much, and Howard was there for 100 touches, and Boston Scott picked up a couple touchdowns, but for the most part, anything on the ground was Hurts.
I'll go with 6.
It was 8. Hurts had 10, Jackson only had 2. All right. And you guys Ty led me right into my next question. How many touchdowns did Miles Sanders score this year?
Oh, geez.
That's how close we were getting earlier, huh? Got it.
That's how close you were getting earlier.
4.
2.
All right. The rushing touchdowns for the Philadelphia Eagles this year goes Jalen Hurts with 10, Boston Scott with 7, Kenneth Gainwell with 5, Jordan Howard with 3, Gardner Minshew and Miles Sanders both had 0. So
Really?
which one of you was lower? I wasn't paying attention. I was excited.
You said 2, I said 4.
All right.
I
0
felt stupid saying
touchdowns.
2.
Yeah.
I thought it was way too low, but no.
All right. I need you to rank these 3 wide receivers in fantasy points. All 3 of them played in 17 games. Terry McLaurin, Darnell Mooney, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Well, that sucks. Amon-Ra. Hold on. Amon-Ra, Mooney, and McLaurin.
Yep.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think McLaurin. Actually, I don't know. Amon-Ra was just so stupid productive at the end, and McLaurin and Mooney really didn't score much that I know of. I mean, Mooney and McLaurin both went over 1,000, but did they score?
I'm gonna go Amon-Ra, McLaurin, Mooney.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide what to do with those bottom 2 because I think Amon-Ra is at the top because he just went nuts.
Well, I'll save you the time. These 3 guys were all within less than 2.5 points of each other.
Okay.
And Amon-Ra was not at the top.
Amon-Ra was not at the top. Darnell Mooney had 138.7. Amon-Ra had 137.3. Terry McLaurin had 136.5.
So it was Mooney, Amon-Ra, McLaurin.
Yep. So I'm not going to give either of you the point because neither of you got it.
That's a good idea. That's how this game works.
All right. So tight end question. Darren Waller only played 11 games. So let's give him an even playing field. If we're looking at average points, just average points per week, where'd he finish among tight ends?
I feel like we had an argument about this a few weeks ago on the podcast, and he was low. I think he was like 7th, so I'll stick with 7.
Average points per game.
We got it at 10-7 here in Ty's favor. Just points
good.
update in case it's hard to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna points per game for Darren Waller. I'm gonna. You put him at what, Boyer?
Boyer said 7.
I'll put him down at 10.
He was
Oh,
9th.
yeah.
He was 9th.
I answer quicker, but he gets them right. I should take my time more.
Yeah, we only have so much time and the editors are on strike. So
So they
All right.
get this downtime.
I gotta start stroking this beard more and start thinking about it.
yeah, 9th. And he had 2 good weeks to start
did.
to start
He
the
had-
season. So
He started with 19 targets in week 1.
and then another good game in week 2 that I think he had 2 touchdowns, but I don't remember for sure. But yeah, it was
But
all
he-
off a cliff from there.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of the year it was like 3, 4, 5 points. I felt like, which I figured there's got to be a handful of guys that are better than that.
Yeah. Yep. You were not wrong. Oh no, I was wrong though. 19 targets, 10 catches, 105 and a touchdown for 16 and a half in week 1. Then he followed it up with 65 yards in week 2. So it wasn't even a 2-week boom. It was just one.
That's a big 65 yards is a big week for a
Not for
tight
Waller. All right. Back to quarterback questions. Where did Derek Carr rank in pass yards?
end. 4th. Was close. He was up there.
I quit. If he's in 4th, I quit because I clearly didn't follow Derek Carr that closely.
Ty, what do you got?
I was gonna say well low compared to that. I was gonna put him down at like 12 or 13. So
He was 5th.
Oh man,
He was 5th.
he was
the problem
3rd for a
is,
long time.
He was.
the Raiders throw the ball all the time. And Renfro did well and whatever, but like
So ESPN gives you those like graphics where it's like top 5 in certain categories, and Derek Carr was in that like graphic like every week of the year. It's the only way I was able to pick that out fairly fast. I just picked one of the top 5 that wasn't. I knew he wasn't top 2, so I just went pick a number between 3 and 5 and go.
fair enough.
All right. Where did Derrick Henry finish in rushing yards? Where did he rank among running backs in rush yards?
Up there. He was give or take, let's say 8th.
I'll say I think he was. I think he was top 10, but I think he dropped pretty quick towards the end of the year.
Well, yeah, he wasn't playing.
He was up there. He was up top 5 for a while. So I'm gonna go.
I think he
I'm gonna
stayed
go,
number 1 for 2 weeks after he got hurt.
right. I'm gonna go with 10.
All right. Well, I'm not giving either of you a point because he was 9th.
Oh,
I said 8th or 9th. Come on.
All right. This one's gonna take some time.
Hold
I might
on.
have to call in the editors here.
Boyer, had I let you go first, would have you gone lower than 10?
I was thinking like top 10-ish, like in that.
He did say top
area.
10.
Okay, well, no, I was just curious because I thought he said he fell out of the top 10. So I just was curious where his mind went right away.
I thought he was like in that 10-ish conversation. So I was struggling between somewhere between 8 and 12.
Okay.
So I just kind of stuck it in the middle. And you
I
picked 8, so I wasn't gonna go with 8. I don't want to pick 9 because I don't want to be accused of like one-upping.
Fair enough. All right, Andy, go ahead on your long question here.
All right. Do you guys have a pen and paper?
I can.
You don't have to.
I'm in my garage. I mean,
All
I'm
right.
in my studio. I don't carry
All
pens
right.
and papers
I
with
need
me.
you to rank these wide receivers by touchdowns scored.
Sure.
CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Brandon Cooks, Brandon Waddle, Jalen Waddle.
Touchdowns.
All right, so Lamb, Waddle, Cooks,
T. Higgins.
T. Higgins.
I'm gonna go with Higgins, CD, Waddle, and Brandon Cooks.
Cooks, Higgins, Lamb, Waddle.
Wow, Cooks first. Interesting. Well, I have a hard time telling either of you you're more wrong than the other because they all scored 6.
Okay.
I think we both get the point.
I don't think either of you get the point, but that's because I'm mean. So
I think Andy's just a dick. We'll take a point away from Andy.
I just wanted to slow it down, bring us back. All right, who was the highest scoring kicker? If you get somebody in the top 3, that whoever gets the highest ranked kicker, as long as they're in the top 3, gets a point.
The highest scoring kicker?
Who
Do we even play with kickers?
we do in this league?
I mean, I'm gonna take Justin Tucker just for the sake of Justin Tucker's Justin Tucker. Sorry, Boyer. I beat you to it.
Matt Prater, big leg, good offense for a long time, big part of the year. I'll go with Matt Prater.
Well, Ty gets the point. It was Justin Tucker was 3rd. Prater's down at like 8th or 9th. I think 8th. Nick Folk was 1st for almost the entire year, but fell off and ceded the top spot to Dan Carlson of the Las Vegas Raiders. So point to Ty for getting the 3rd place guy, but
Of course, it was a kicker question. Ty's always going to get the kicker questions.
I know.
When in doubt, take the guy that hit the longest field goal. I don't know.
That's not a bad strategy. All right, we're halfway through. Ty, you want to hit him with it?
Pow! What you drinking? Andy, show us that water.
I just finished my Oktoberfest, so I'm trying to be seasonal.
Nice.
Good
You
try.
know, now that it's January.
I've got Gatorade today.
Oh, nice. I'm not a big red Gatorade fan, but it's fine.
Me
a blue.
neither. It
I'm a
was
blue.
it was not a requested color.
The Blue Frost.
I'm drinking Self-Righteous Black IPA.
How is that?
It's actually pretty good. It's only 8.7% alcohol by volume. So
That's
I
pretty
cannot
low.
wait until I can actually participate in this again.
we'll stop dying every year.
Yeah,
And
It's not
maybe
every
we'll
year.
do-
I'm down to like once every 2 or 3 years. I'm getting better.
you're spacing them out. I'm proud of you. All right,
All right, Andy.
back
hit
to
us
the
with some
game.
more trivia.
all right. Same as the last one. If you get in the top 3, whoever gets the closest one wins. Who was sacked the most? Which quarterback was sacked the most number of times?
Boy. Justin Fields had played a full season. I would say Justin Fields, but he did not play a full season.
Justin Fields was, I believe, 10th in only 12 games.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
He was sacked 36 times.
Jared Goff.
Interesting guess. Goff was 11th, which doesn't matter to Boyer's guess because you got to get somebody in the top 3 to get a point.
He played a lot on a bad team. I don't know.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson did not play a full season either. He
That's
was
good.
13th. He only played 14 games.
Dang.
Although, to be
Boyer-
fair, 3rd place only played 13 games, and I'm surprised neither of you even consider this. Zach Wilson was 3rd with 44
Ah.
sacks.
That was actually the other guy I was debating between, but I went Goff.
Sure. We believe you.
Ryan Tannehill, 47, and in first place, Joe Burrow with 51 sacks.
Well, you sling it. Sometimes you get knocked on your butt.
Well, if you draft a wide receiver instead of an offensive lineman, that happens.
Right. It still worked out for him, but yeah.
All right. Who had more rushing yards, Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon?
Ooh, that's close. I'm gonna go with Dillon.
I will say that Dillon played in 17 games and Aaron Jones only played in 15. So consider that in your answer.
I feel like because you're asking the question, I have to say Dillon. That's the problem. You wouldn't ask me this question if Dillon didn't outrush Jones. I'm still going to say Jones.
I'm gonna say they're probably within a stupidly small amount.
Yeah, like I said, I should have said Dillon because there's no other reason you asked me this question.
So it's a little unfair because in 2 more games, AJ Dillon totaled 4 more rushing yards than Aaron
Yeah,
Jones.
I knew it was going to be a super close amount. He likes those
803 to
close samples, right?
799. So
Next time I'm going to say that it's a tie, just in case you're trying to trip us up again.
hey, you never know.
To be honest, had we not had two choices and I didn't want to tie Boyer, I probably would have just taken AJ Dillon because there was a clear right answer.
All right. Wide receiver question number the 6th. Deontay Johnson finished tied for second most targets with 169, but he was only 13th in points. How many touchdowns did Deontay Johnson score?
I'm going to guess not so many if he had that many targets and that many, and he was 16th in points, you said?
He was 13th in points.
13th in points.
Tied for second in targets.
He's
Tied
not
for
the
second
Cooper Cup.
targets.
He's not the
13th
Cooper
in
Cup
points.
scoring 2 touchdowns a game. Deontay Johnson had 7 touchdowns.
I'm going to go lower than that. I'm going to go 4.
No way.
He had 8.
Dang it.
His yards per catch was very, very low. 107 catches, only 1,100 yards, so barely over 10 yards a catch. But he
Gotcha.
did have 8 touchdowns. All right. Ryan Suckup led all kickers with 56 point afters made. Where did he finish in overall points among kickers? So first in PATs, but where overall?
He's on the Bucks.
He is on the Bucks.
Yeah. He had a couple games with a lot of field goals, but for the most part, it was a lot of extra points. 7.
I was going to go lower. I was going to go like 9th.
He was 15th.
Oof.
I know.
That's real bad.
That's pretty bad,
I mean, it's good for the Bucks, I guess, if they're scoring touchdowns, not field goals. But
right?
That's crazy. I had Suckup or had him in an A league, and I got rid of him early because all he was doing was getting a couple points a week.
Yeah, it's nice to have that floor of, hey, you're scoring 4 touchdowns a week, but you got to get something in the field goals department too. Otherwise, it's not enough.
I think he only had like 2 or 3 games of like 10, 12, 15 points. I think the rest of them were all the extra points.
Right?
Driving me nuts.
All right. Where did Justin Herbert finish at the quarterback position in points?
And total points?
Total points. He was QB what?
4.
2.
He was QB 2. Good work, Ty.
Nice job, Ty.
Only Josh Allen was higher than him.
I was listening to something earlier on like quarterback rankings in general. So
Oh, okay.
it helped me. I between
So
2
you
and
are doing research.
I listen to podcasts to help me with my trivia podcast.
Smart. All right. Who had more fantasy points? Singletary or Javonte Williams?
Singletary.
Singletary caught fire towards the end. Javonte Williams.
It was Javonte
Oof.
by 4.1 points.
Huh.
Score update, I read it as a 14 Ty to 11 Boyer.
Hey, I'm not getting blasted.
Yes.
All right. Again with this, I will give you, if you get in the top 3, whoever gets the highest one, but who had the highest yards per catch? Minimum 100 targets.
Oh,
Yards per catch.
highest yards per catch?
Highest yards per catch.
Chase.
Justin Jefferson.
Jamar Chase was second.
Damn.
Debo
Jefferson would have been my
was
second guess.
first.
Ah.
Jefferson was down more because he had a lot more catches this year. He had over 100
Really?
catches. So Chase had the 80 whatever catches and like 1,500 yards. Debo only had 77 catches and had 14 and change. So he was at 18-2 to Chase's 18-0. Third was Tyler Lockett with a 16.1.
That guy's
And-
good.
Right. And then
Yeah.
interestingly, fourth on this list, Kyle Pitts. Kyle
Interesting.
Pitts only had not very many catches. He only had 68 catches, but broke 1,000 yards.
Well, when you're a wide receiver lining up against linebackers, I mean, a tight end running. Oh, what?
All right.
Yeah, but the problem is then you get more balls short through the middle and get clogged up right away.
All right, we're
that's how the
into
Falcons
our
use
into our defense questions now, so be excited for that.
Buffalo. When in doubt, Buffalo.
You
Right,
can
Robbie?
give me as many teams as you want. Correct will be plus ones, incorrect will be minus ones. Name the 4 defenses that scored over 150 points. Feel free to
Four?
work together on this one if you want. I am telling you that there's 4.
Dallas, New England, Buffalo. Top 3.
solid 3. Yeah.
Who that 4th one is going to blow my mind, though, probably.
Uh,
Those 3,
I know
I'm
I know the
setting it.
Saints. The Saints defense was good, but I don't know if they were 150 points good.
The Bucks defense was good. The Colts defense was solid for a while, but they were bad on other times.
hmm
Miami had an okay defense, but I don't know that they were that high.
Miami defense was hot for like the back half of the year.
Kansas City was okay for a while. Tennessee had a couple hot games, but I don't think they were quite that high. Arizona was hot to start, but once JJ Watt went out, that defense went downhill.
Ty, I'm so proud of you. You've like named these almost in order. At the very least, you've been like blocked. Like you've named it.
So did you already get it?
No, Tennessee is the lowest team that you have named in terms of overall points, and you have named every single team above them and 0 teams below them.
That's impressive.
I'm
Well, at least
very
I know
impressed.
Who the hell number 4 is? I don't know though.
Yeah, literally the bottom 3 of the ones that you said are Tennessee, Arizona, Kansas City. I'm pretty sure those are the last 3 out of your mouth. So,
All right, so I would
your
have
choices, your choices are Miami, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, and Colts.
I'm gonna go with New Orleans. I don't know if they got enough touchdowns throughout the year though to make it to 150.
And keep in mind, you don't have to. You can just sit on 3. You could give me 5 if you want to. If you want to do it that way, although it would be easier to just sit on 3.
I'll go with Tampa Bay. Just I know they were hot for a while, but I don't know.
I assume that our top 3 are going to be the same. It's just whether or not we're going to get the 4th. Who's going to get the 4th right, if at all?
It's probably Miami because
It's Miami.
Dang it!
Miami
They
had
were
some
hot.
big games in the middle. They had 17 against Houston, and 18 against Baltimore, 23 against Carolina. They're in week 9, 10, and 12. And then at the end of the season, they had a 25 against the Saints and a 20 against the Patriots in the last week in that win that they put up.
Right.
Yeah, because your Denver defense wasn't up there. I knew that.
No, they were, I believe, 3rd in points allowed, but they only had 19 turnovers generated, where the 2 teams ahead of them in points allowed were the Patriots and the Bills, and they both had 30 turnovers. So that's going to be what adds up for you. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the Broncos only scored 119.
I knew the Broncos and Rams, Niners, some of the other teams that are typically strong defenses weren't great this year. So I was starting to name other teams that just opened for the best.
All right, back to quarterbacks. This one's a doozy. How many pass touchdowns did Trevor Lawrence throw?
Oh, shit. Oh,
I got
boy.
16-14 on my board here. Ties up.
It was low. It wasn't a lot.
He did play all 17 games, if that's helpful to you.
Yeah, but that doesn't even mean he had won a game.
Right.
I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying he played all of them.
He was throwing to Laviska Chenault at the end of the year as his number 1 wide receiver.
Hey, he had Marvin Jones. Don't knock Marvin Jones.
I'm
He's
But
trying
trying
his
to-
best.
Laviska was like his go-to at the end of the year, which was crazy.
James O'Shaughnessy.
I'm gonna go with like 13.
Yeah, I was right there with you. I'll go even lower to 11.
I'm not going to give either of you a point because it was 12.
God damn it.
Good work pinpointing it, though. I figured you guys would give him at least 15 or 16. But yeah,
No,
well
I-
under 1 per game.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
Urban Meyer
I was
sucks,
considering
too.
in like the 17 range, and I was like, but to who? Like, even Marvin Jones had a bad year for Marvin
Okay,
Jones.
I got a question for you, Boyer. How many did Tua have? Is Tua better or worse than Lawrence?
Well,
Then
Tua
12?
only played in
Hold
so
on.
many games, right?
Was Tua higher or lower than Lawrence?
I want to say it was higher, despite the fact that he played in less games,
Tua only played in 13 games.
but he still had more than 12.
Right. So he was at what, 15 or 16, and
Tua
I knew
had-
that Lawrence was much lower than that still.
Yeah, Tua had 16.
Because I was having an argument with somebody about Tua earlier and being a good long-term quarterback and all that. So I was
I
not
don't think so.
arguing for. I was not arguing for that, but
All right. Moving on. Running backs. Comparing a couple of guys who only played 13 games. Who had more points? Swift or Montgomery?
Swift.
They both only played in 13 games.
Montgomery. I'll go the opposite.
153 for Monty, 147 for Swift. Obviously, that looks a little bit different in a PPR, but
Right.
Ty, Jamal Williams was poaching like a stupid amount of rushes from Swift, especially early in the season. And when Montgomery was in, they like forgot Herbert existed, which I don't understand because Herbert
When
crushed it the
Montgomery
week that he
was
was in.
in, they forgot that Montgomery existed.
That's Matt Nagy doing Matt Nagy.
that's hurtful. That's true, but it hurts. All right, guys. Let's keep it weird. How many catches did Hunter Renfro have this year?
All of what Waller should have had. And some.
You're not wrong. Oh shit. Hunter Renfro had he came on hot at the end. He was decent in
97.
the middle of the year. Yeah, I was right around that 100 range because otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
was-
you go 97. I'll jump up to 105 because I want to give us a little bit of leeway in the middle there because I'm like right on the 100 mark.
damn it, Ty.
103. Hunter Renfro finished wide receiver 14 in standard scoring.
Uh,
Good work.
just because I wanted to split you off there a little bit.
He finished with more fantasy points than CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, and DJ Moore.
Doesn't surprise me with how hot he was at the end.
They had nobody else to throw to.
The dude was good.
All right.
And how many double-digit fantasy point games did Renfro have at the end of the season?
At the end of the season?
Or just in general? Because he had probably 10 or 11
Week
10 or 11
3 and week 4 were the only double-digit fantasy games that he had prior to their week 8 bye, and both of them he had a touchdown. He capped out at 77 receiving yards in week 3, looking at before the bye.
Okay.
After the bye, in that 10 games, he was only not in double digits twice. He had 3 games over 100 yards, and he had touchdowns in 6 of the 10. So it was definitely weighted towards the second half in terms of his total
Right.
points.
Cup
Like,
light
I was
right
gonna
there.
say, at one point, he was running like 4 or 5 weeks in a row with like double-digit fantasy points, and he was just blowing it up.
Yep, he had 6 of the last 7.
nothing huge, but right. He was a great wide receiver too, flex play. I mean, dude was just putting up points every week.
Yeah, for sure. His highest game was a 15.7. He had 117 and a touchdown and a fumble lost in week 14 against the
Damn it, quit
Chiefs.
losing
So,
fumbles.
right, don't do that.
Plus, he didn't get benched. Good thing he didn't play for Meyer.
All right. In 2020, the Los Angeles Rams defense was 2nd in sacks and 1st in fantasy points. This year, they were 3rd in sacks. Where'd they rank in fantasy points?
All right, so I named off how many.
We did kind of ruin this one a little bit.
So
Fine.
like a 10th, 11th, right? Because you rattled off like 5.
New England Bills. Miami had to have been 4th. Saints. Bucks.
I think you got the top 8 or 9 out of the way, Ty.
Well, then let's call them 11.
Where would you say?
I would say 11 as well.
Okay, they were 12th.
Okay. I was thinking about putting in.
I ruined that one earlier.
That's all right.
After Ty said 11, I thought about being like, well, I'll just go 12 just to piss him off and see what happens because it's going to be right around there.
All right. Name the 2 players who threw 17 interceptions. I won't take away for wrong answers on this one.
Lawrence,
Zach Wilson.
17 interceptions.
17 is the number that led the league. 2 quarterbacks did that. Who were they?
Zach
Lawrence for
Wilson
sure.
and Matthew Stafford.
Lawrence and man, my gut wants to say Fields, but he didn't play long enough to throw 17 picks. I know I think he threw 10.
Fields did throw 10. He only played 12 games.
So he would have had 17.
Zach Wilson only played 13 games.
I know. I was just thinking that Zach Wilson might be low, but he had a lot of picks early in the year.
I'm just gonna say Lawrence. I'm not gonna put up a second one.
I'm not taking away points.
I'm not taking away points. Oh, okay. We'll throw out. Wilson, who played? Not Cousins. Goff.
All right, Ty, who were yours?
Wilson and Stafford.
One for Boyer, one for Ty. It was Stafford and Lawrence. Wilson only had 11. And then Goff missed a couple games. Goff only had 8 picks, but he played 14 games.
Well, and Stafford, I know he threw like a 4-pick game to the Niners early. He had another couple picks to the Niners. And
Yeah.
he was throwing picks left and right. And they were talking about it on Niners Rams game last week.
Part of, I think, what might have been making you want to pick Wilson is Mike White also threw 8 interceptions. So that brings the Jets total up a lot higher.
Jets quarterbacks.
But
Zach Wilson threw a lot early though. Like when he first started, it was like 2 a game. He just kept throwing them.
Yeah, he was
Threw like
he was very
5
bad.
to
But he was
get
super
Patriots
good in the
on.
back half of the season, or at
He
least the
was.
last quarter.
I just assumed the first half shot him up the ranks a little bit.
0 picks in the last 5 weeks for Zach Wilson.
He looked
Good for him.
halfway decent.
In the first 5 weeks, he had 9.
Yeah, right.
So, all
He had
right.
9 of his 11 to
In the first 5 weeks,
The first
Yeah,
5
he
weeks.
missed his 3 games, and there was the bye, and then after that, he threw 2, and then didn't throw any of the last 5 games.
Damn it, Zach Wilson.
All right, running backs at or above 5.5 yards per carry. this year. There were 5 of them, and I had a 10 game minimum on my requirement here, so I don't know if that matters, but
Chubb. Am I trying to name all 5?
sure. Yeah. I'm gonna take away points if you get them wrong though. No, I won't, because this one's hard. Just
All right, so
give me 5 guys, I'll give you a point for each one.
over 5.5 yards a carry.
5.5 or more. Feel free to work together.
I mean, I'm going with Henry and Taylor because those two were monsters when they got the ball, and Chubb because
he's
he
Chubb.
had a lot early.
AJ Dillon.
Not well. No, we talked about Najee being bad earlier. He had so many attempts. I don't think AJ Dillon is on there. I would say Mixon is probably close. The guy I'm going to say, it's going to sound really Niners-ish, but Elijah Mitchell, when he got the ball, had a lot of long runs. Did it average out to 5.5 a carry? I don't know. Mitchell would be a guy I would consider. Was there a minimum carries? Because Alexander Madison, Dalvin Cook combo, I don't know if either of them would be on there.
I did 10 games played.
10 games.
So Madison would qualify for that, but I'll tell you he's not on here.
Okay. Because he was solid when he was in, but I didn't know how picky I should be here. I mean, the only other guys I could come up with would be Derrick Henry, Taylor, Chubb are the top 3 that we talked about. I think Elijah Mitchell did it. He had a lot of long runs that I think would, and even when he didn't have long runs, he'd break off 5 or 6 yards. I'm going to put Mitchell in there. You don't have to. Mitchell's going to be one of my guys.
All right, Dillon's going to be one of my guys.
Okay.
Dillon.
Okay. Cook or Mixon has to be the last one. I think. I don't know who else I would put in there. So I'm gonna go with Cook.
I'll go with Mixon.
Okay. I think Ty got 2 and I think Boyer got 1. I'll read them off and you can tell me if I miss one for you. The 5 players who finish at or above 5.5 yards per carry in a minimum of 10 games. These are only running backs. I'm not doing quarterbacks.
Henry played 10 games.
No, he didn't.
Who?
Derrick
Henry didn't even play 10 games.
Yep.
Derrick Henry finished with like a 4.3. He had a boatload of carries.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he's nowhere near 5.5. So if that makes you feel better, you're wrong twice. Okay, so Jonathan Taylor did. He was right at 5.5. As was Nick Chubb, as was Miles Sanders, right at 5.5. Slightly above those fellers was one Tony Pollard at 5.6, and well above all of them, albeit with fewer games played, was Rashad Penny, 6.3 yards per carry.
I considered Rashad Penny, but I didn't know if he played 10 games. That's where
fair.
I hung up on him. Granted, I didn't think about it for Dalvin Cook because not Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, because he was in my head as like he's got the yards per carry, doesn't matter.
He was getting like 30 carries a game though. Yeah, so the reason that I put this question on here was because if you include quarterbacks, it's effectively Taylor, Sanders, Chubb, Pollard, and then you have Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, Josh Allen, Rashad Penny. So all of the rushing quarterbacks who get those big chunk yards because they get to pick and choose when they run, and they don't have to run up the middle into a stuffed O-line. Penny was right there, 6.3, same as Josh Allen.
Do you have Elijah Mitchell on your list at all? Could you give me his?
He was like 4.7, I think. Let me find him.
Because he had a lot of longer runs, but I didn't know where
Dillon
he
was 4.3. Elijah Mitchell was 4.7.
Okay.
And then Mixon was 4.1. He had almost 300 carries and only 1,200 yards. Dalvin Cook was 4.7 were some of the names I heard.
Well, if we went to 4.7, I did fine.
Yeah,
You
well,
went too high.
sorry. Okay, how many receiving touchdowns did Chase Claypool have?
Deontay had what, 8?
Deontay had 8.
So over under
Over or under.
8. That's the first thing is, did he beat Deontay or no?
Oh boy. He didn't. He's under Deontay. There's no way he beat.
He was so quiet all year, right?
Yeah.
6.
I can't have him anywhere near 8.
Last year he had 9, if anybody wants that.
Yeah, but he's
Maybe
not.
6.
He's not at that. He's lucky to have 4. I would say he
He
has.
probably has 5 based off of what we've.
He has 3.
Oh wow.
He had 2. My marker's dying.
Jeez.
He only had 2.
He had a couple. I know he had 1 or 2 little dump offs, but that was about it. He didn't have like any big.
Yeah, Roethlisberger only threw 22 touchdowns, but still, Claypool only had 2. So here's hoping that they get somebody that can air it out a bit next year, because that guy's decent. I don't think he's great, but he's decent enough. Not 2 touchdowns bad.
Right. Well, Claypool was even last year was a red zone target for him. And this year just nothing happened there.
Yeah.
Granted, they didn't get to the red zone all that often, so.
Truth. 5 questions left. 2020 Steelers defense was ranked 1st in sacks and 2nd in fantasy points. This year they were again 1st in sacks. Where'd they rank in fantasy points?
All right, so we again listed.
We again.
We know the Rams are 11.
Rams were 12.
I'm sorry, Rams are 12.
Yeah. They've got to be down at 15.
Yeah, I
they
was thinking the same thing. They were bad. They didn't do anything for I don't feel like turnovers or anything like that.
I'm going 15.
I'm gonna go 11, but it's gonna give Ty the edge on the numbers there.
17th.
Oh wow, okay.
There was only one team between all of them that I named off in the Rams. I didn't imagine it was them.
I was surprised. You figured leading in sacks.
Right.
That's what I figured. Leading in sacks, and maybe they had more turnovers than the Rams did.
All right. Highest yards per attempt for a quarterback. I'll give you the point if you get somebody in the top 3. Whoever gets the highest one out of the bunch.
Yards per attempt.
Yards per attempt.
Burrow.
Jeez. Yards per attempt. I'm kind of with you on Burrow, but I don't think so. I'm gonna go with Stafford.
Stafford was 3rd. Burrow was 1st. And in between them, Jimmy G.
Huh. Weird.
Burrow had a 8.9 yards per attempt. Jimmy G 8.6. Stafford 8.1.
Out of Jimmy G's, how much of that was air yards? Because I'm feeling like it was like dump offs to Debo.
Probably was.
Yards.
It probably was because Debo led the league in yak. No, not well, maybe, but in average yards per catch. Okay, last rushing question. Derrick Henry had 219 carries. How many of those carries went for more than 20 yards?
Oh. He had 219 carries?
He had 219 carries.
In like 6 games or something?
He played 9 games, but
9
still.
games. Okay, that's still stupid.
Yeah.
Boy,
How many of them went for over 20?
he was what 4.3 yards per carry. So I'm just trying to take what we've learned from these past questions.
Smart. It's helping you on the defense stuff. Although I'm going the other direction with defense next time, so you're not gonna have any help there.
Ah,
Dang.
man. Out of 219, let's say he had 32 over 20 yards. I'm just throwing out a number. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
I'm gonna go with like 20.
He had 3.
Oh.
He had 3.
I'm not
gonna give either of you the point for that one.
Yeah,
Come on!
I'm gonna go with 3.
I was closer.
You are so far off. I don't feel like I can do it. And I make the rules.
That's still worth a point. Come on.
Taylor led with 14. Chubb had 12. Penny had 11. Was third. So you guys were way high.
That was a dumb question. Let's not do it anymore.
Playing in all 17 games, how many receiving yards did rookie Devonta Smith have?
Not many.
He had a couple good games. He had like a little 3-game section, right when I traded AJB for AJB in our dynasty.
How many yards did he have?
How many receiving yards did he have?
687. You can say 688 if you think it's higher.
He was higher than the mid sixes, but I don't think he was anywhere near the 1,000. Well, I'm getting the point.
I said higher.
There you go.
916.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, which is barely 55 yards a game when you have 17 games, but 916.
Yeah. I would have gone mid 800s probably because it was.
All right. Now this one's a lightning round. There's three parts to this one. Who was the worst defense in takeaways? What team had the fewest takeaways? Ty.
Which team had the fewest takeaways?
Uh-huh. These are hard because nobody thinks about the bad defenses.
Right. Atlanta.
Boyer?
Jets.
Nope. Jaguars only had 9 takeaways all year.
Yeah, that was the other one I was thinking.
Jaguars was my second.
That's so bad. Fewest sacks.
Fewest sacks. Houston.
Where?
Let's go with the Lions.
No, New York Giants. Can I go to New York Giants?
You can, but you're still wrong. Atlanta only had 18 sacks. That's 1 a game. That's so bad.
Should have gone back to Atlanta.
Most points allowed. And this is our last question.
Most points allowed?
Most points allowed.
I mean, who was getting
as a defense?
Out? I'll go Houston.
The New York Football Jets.
Boyer?
Houston.
The Jets. Jets allowed 504 points, which is a hair shy of 30 a game.
Jeez.
So I've got Ty at 24, Boyer at 18. A little closer this year.
Just
good work, fellas.
Not much closer.
All right, Ty. We ran long because it's a lot of trivia, but you want to sign us out?
Hey, we hate all of you. I hope anything that you're doing, no, I really don't care. Like, subscribe, comment. It really helps us on this algorithm. I don't know. I don't really care. But otherwise, hope you followed along. Hope you played. Hope you didn't suck as bad as Boyer did. See ya.